name is Earl Hurd, and welcome you back to another episode. One thing I want to stress, our purpose in life is to bring God glory and to help share His message so that we can introduce God to others, and connections matter.
Hello, I'm Ted Baehr, publisher of Movie Guide and chairman of the Christian Film and Television Commission. I grew up in the entertainment industry. My mother and father were big stars during the 30s. My father won the box office award in 1936. He starred in 62 movies, but he's remembered primarily for the westerns he played in, where he was Bob Tex Allen, the first Texas Ranger. I grew up in the entertainment industry, not connected to faith and values. In fact, my father used to keep all sorts of, the Mystery of the Ages and Edgar Cayce and everything next to his bed. And my mother died when I was young. So I thought if there was any spiritual power in the universe, it was no good because my mother died. So I went to seek love in all the wrong places. And eventually, after getting out of Dartmouth, University of Bordeaux and Toulouse, and Cambridge University, I went to NYU Law School. I graduated. And at that point, 4 women had targeted my father and we're trying to bring him to Christ. They had come to Christ for Billy Graham. They gave me a Bible, forced me to read it. Well, they begged me to read it. After a couple of months, I relented. And when I read it, my life turned around. I went to a seminary in New York. They appointed me to do The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe on CBS television. We had 37 million viewers, won an Emmy Award, and I didn't need the award. What I needed to do is see how could we turn the entertainment industry right side up. And when we started, there was 1 movie with positive Christian content and only 6 family films, and 82% of the films were R-rated. But now it's come up to 62% of the movies coming out of Hollywood have some Christian content, like The Grinch, which is absolutely great, and Boss Baby, which is the best movie on pro-life ever made. And of course, there's also more family films. Now it's up to 40% of the movies, and the number of R-rated films have gone down to about 30%.
I've been in publishing all of my 40-year career. Just love publishing. I love the printed word, and of course the digital world now is a tremendous way of communicating your ideas, thoughts, and information to your target audience.
It's amazing. In 1983, I went to an outdoor rally, a concert in a parking lot. I was 17 years old.
Yes.
And there was a preacher standing on a flatbed truck, and there was a band playing. They were having a rally.
Yes.
And I heard the call of God right there. He said, you would do this the rest of your life. You would travel the world doing rallies.
Came out here with my future wife. We settled out here, and once God got a hold of me, kind of shifted my perspective on acting, on filmmaking, on everything. I kind of not transitioned out of acting. I still do acting too, but I wanted to do more for God, for the kingdom. I wanted to kind of produce better quality media, films, things like that. So that's how I kind of got into it. Yeah.
Ironically enough, as I grew up, I was always a kid who told a lot of stories, and somewhere along the line, somebody told me that you can make a living making up stories, Keith. And that was truly the beginning.
But the very heart of networking is the fact that we're called to know God and make Him known. It's the love of God that's operating in our hearts and minds and souls and spirits. It's what Scrooge learns, it's what the Grinch learns, it's what all of us should learn when we see the power of grace in our life, that we love other people, and therefore we want to be in communion with them, or community, as we say today, and therefore we want to communicate with them. And when we do, it opens up whole worlds of community. It opens up worlds that we're willing to support one another, love one another, because we're filled with His Spirit. Now, we see a lot of people that have been transformed in Hollywood through our ministry, and therefore they've been able to form new communities, bigger communities, and we've seen great news happen every day because the start of it is being in community with Christ Jesus.
Well, networking is really the key. because if you don't have a network of people who love the industry, love communicating, then you lose your spark. You just don't have the momentum to move forward. Some people are authors, some people kind of do their thing on their own, but the truly successful people are connected people.
I think networking is key for everything, from interpersonal relationships that you have with friends and family. I mean, this whole event that we're pulling off here, the Hollywood Divine International Film Festival, I mean, it's all based on networking with all the different producers, all the different filmmakers, all the different volunteers. Every single piece of this event is due to networking.
For me, networking is people's gifts crossing paths.
Yeah,
because so many people have so many great gifts. Like for instance, baking a pie, there's so many ingredients.
Yeah.
Unless those ingredients don't come together, you'll never have a great pie.
Yeah.
I believe that's also in business and ministry. Networking is such a powerful tool that we use because we believe there's people with gifts that we don't have.
Yes.
And I believe we have gifts other people don't have. So networking to us is a very powerful tool.
Yes.
And I believe
part of the ingredients.
Yeah, in today's society, in ministry, in business, in filmmaking, we need each other.
Yes, we need each other, and it's important, and we pay attention to everyone's gifts as well.
Yeah.
That's a big thing we do. We say, okay, we have a need, and we see someone. Okay, we'll consider them. So it's very important.
We like to say we celebrate people's gifts.
Yeah.
They call it show business for a reason. Meaning you have to show up and do business. When I'm talking to young writers, I tell them, I go, which one are you going to be? Are you going to wait for things to happen to you? Or are you going to make things happen? You have to get out there, forge relationships, meet people. Otherwise, you're just going to be that guy who gets stuck in his own stories.
Marketing includes networking, PR, advertising, all of the above. Marketing is taking whatever you have and learning to use it to grow by branding it and also getting the word out about it. And it also means advertising. In the entertainment industry, the average movie out of Hollywood spends about $50 million on prints and advertising. It's a big business. The average movie costs over $107 million now. And the networking is the personal contagion that goes on in the movie business. In other words, you want word of mouth to go on. So networking is word of mouth, and the more love and faith and joy and spirit you put into the movie, the better it does. In fact, of the top 10 movies last year in the United States, 80% of them had positive, pro-Christian or pro-biblical moral content, which means there was a lot of networking going on where people were talking about the quality of the film.
It's hard to define networking apart from your normal activity when it comes to working with God. I think I've matured in networking, Christian or non-Christian. I just find it so much easier now, having a mature faith in God, to have confidence to go up and find somebody, shake their hand, and not talk about me. Ask them about themselves is an idea that's centuries old, that is the other person's more important than you are. That's a key in networking.
We're the filmmaker itself, but the theaters are the distributors. So we have experience with them. Networking with them is we want them to take what we have and mix it with what they have. Our work with theaters, there's a certain way that we have to do it because they're used to of the world system. And we have to approach them and look like them. Networking with them, we got to learn their language. I'm preaching a message right now called Having the Language of the Land. And I just preached it to some leaders here in Hollywood. If you don't know how to speak their language, they can't hear you.
I don't feel like when I talk to people in the Christian world, they're looking to get something out of me. And I certainly hope they don't feel like I'm looking to get something out of them. In the mainstream world, I get that sense that everybody's just trying to wait and see what can you do for me as opposed to how can we work together.
I just think it's very similar. I think it's all about relationships, you know. So we're really trying to just be in relationship with each other. As Christians, we're called to that. We're called to community. We're called to help each other, you know, be brothers and sisters in the Lord. It's really no different. I mean, I think that it's an evangelistic tool in the secular world. In the Christian world, I think it's just what we're supposed to do. You know, I think we're supposed to be in community, supposed to help each other out, supposed to have each other's back.
You gotta know your audience. So you want to be able to reach everybody in a sense, but it all depends what your project is. And our goal is to reach the unchurched. You know, we have evangelism in our hearts and, you know, evangelistic. So everything that we do is evangelism. So our movies are geared to that.
In order to communicate, you got to know their language. I believe Christians, we should know the world better than the world knows themselves. Because how can we convince them that they're in error if we don't know what they're going through? I'm not saying we should hang out in nightclubs or, you know, do drugs, not that. But we need to know what they're facing in life so we can communicate with them. That's how you network.
There's no way to do business or to live life except for networking. You can't sit in your house without contacting people and be successful. Even someone who is a recluse for one reason or another can successfully network. The true networking is face-to-face and continuing that relationship long after that initial face-to-face meeting.
Absolutely, networking works. I mean, my festival here would not be anything without networking. Every single person that is here came out of some network that, you know, or some sort of networking that I have done. Either it's friendships that I've made, which is essentially a network too, right? So like if, you know, I view friendship as a network. So if you're friends with me and we know each other, I want you to have complete access to every single person that I know. And I would hope the same for you. And the reason being is that how can we help each other? Right? So I can help you with the sphere of people I know, and maybe the sphere of people they know, and you know, it's just like this big web. So I think that, you know, networking is key for everything. You know, it's the foundation of the interpersonal relationships and the community that we all kind of look for and have that we've created here in this world.
There's a chain, a theater chain called Harkins Theater, and they're here in the West Coast, and they have some in Texas. Throughout the country in Arizona. And our film distribution company wanted to go a certain way, and he had connections through Harkins Theater. Networking with them was so awesome because they had to see our films too. You know, they were familiar with our films and the stories that were coming. And at first it didn't seem like that, like where are we going with this film, you know? But we see the hand of God all the time, not knowing what's on the other side of the door. We just keep walking by faith, and when the door opens, we say, oh, now we know why. And God has given us favor with Harkins Theaters now. Both films have come out through them. And
they're actually a good company to do business with.
Our movies we're not reaching children.
No.
You know, we're not reaching the senior citizens. We're reaching the gangbangers, the drugs, the mafia, the prisons, the prisoners, those in the streets, those that are staying up in the middle of the night, drunk in a hotel somewhere.
Yes.
So we market that in such a way, we package it in a way that when they see it, they say, I'm interested in this. So I believe marketing, I believe the church needs to know how to market in such a way so we can network in a right way.
The church that we're in right now has a huge projector and screen and everything like that. So I was looking for another church. I went to another church that is actually my home church, but they didn't have a screen. So through different networks that I had, I was able to come in contact with a company that's literally right down the road, that they manufacture and rent and sell these huge LED walls. So I contacted them, and they said, yeah, no, we're always looking for an opportunity to kind of showcase what we do. So for the other venue, they're putting up, and it's already up at the other venue, a 16-foot by 9 LED panel wall with, you know, the value on that, $15,000 to $20,000 for a weekend, and they did it for free. And that all came out of just networking, just from the networks that I've had the pleasure of being a part of.
I wasn't comfortable going to Vegas for lunch meetings, and that happened. I wasn't comfortable going to places of ill repute because a producer wants to talk. There were certain things in mainstream that I struggled with. Things become uncomfortable. The Bible says it. We're not to be comfortable in this world. We know that plain and clear. It was a breath of fresh air, leaving that community, going into this community. Now, I will say, I enjoy dipping my toes back into that world now, simply because I look at it through a different set of glasses, if you will. Because I know some of these guys, the only Bible they may ever read is me. And I'm not going to dazzle them with verses and stuff like that. I was a sinner, dude. I was just a flat out sinner. I look back at some of the things I've written in the past and think, wow, I don't know if I would want to put that out in the universe now. It's just, I don't need me to create entertainment and story content to form a narrative which just is morally, ethically, just not Christ-like.
Social media has changed networking the way that television changed entertainment. It is multiplied, a millionfold over. Unfortunately, it's also open to abuse because you can not give a second thought about who you're trying to connect with for one reason or another. Social media has really brought networking to a new level.
Yeah, I think social media is, it's changing everything, right? For me, it's been great because I'm able to connect with filmmakers all over the world, all over the country, and just kind of reach out and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I can have a personal interaction with somebody in California, in Brazil, in China, in Australia, and kind of give them information on what I'm trying to do and kind of see if there's anything I can do to help them. Get information in front of them in an instant. So I think from social media and networking, it's just I don't know what else. I don't know how else you would do it. Almost, I think interpersonal relationship is great, and I think that's really what it should boil down to at some point. But I think that the ease of being able to get in front of more people and to really connect with people one-on-one, I think social media really kind of opens up the. Yeah, so Earl sent me a huge contact list of all these different people, and one of them being Doug Maddox with DBM Communications, and he ended up being a speaker here. He ended up doing a bunch of other panels for me, and just it was a great resource for that, as well as a bunch of other people, Tim Shields from Capernaum Village, and Mark Herzog from BIC coming out. So there's just it turned into one person into another. So. Starting out with the networking, initially with Earl just reaching out and kind of putting those people in my sphere, that turned into a web of contacts and networks for me that I'm going to use probably for years to come. So it's great.
I was running a conference for publishers, for magazine publishers and book publishers. So after a keynote panel, this guy stood up in the back of the room at a microphone to ask a question in this beautiful, long, drawn-out Southern Louisiana accent, and I said, this guy wants to be here. He didn't just walk in off the street. So I went back and I introduced myself to Earl. Earl told me a little bit about his company and how tough it is to become friends with someone from the South. Well, we were friends immediately and stayed friends to this day. And honestly, I never saw somebody work so hard at networking as does Earl Hurd. And I never saw someone be so successful jumping into something, just connecting with the connectors.
Print helped get me here. Digital and social media has helped take us to the next step.
If I would continue to travel the country, pulling our trailer with a truck and going from city to cities every Saturday doing a rally, it would take me 60 years to do what I can do with one film.
To reach more people,
Because
films.
you can reach the masses.
Yes, through media.
Through media. So God said, continue doing rallies, but use the films. Even though we still do set up rallies, like we're going to do one here in Hollywood, but we use the films now because
Yes.
in the films we do a rally.
There is a rally
The
in the
stage
film.
is in there. The sound's in there.
Yes.
It's not the prize you win by networking. The prize is how you network in an integrity.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, did they see Christ while they were networking?
Yeah.
We want to equip you to be excellent so you can do excellent networking and so that you can succeed.
I've been a lot more successful in business when I was a born-again Christian, because in my early life, that's one of the things that brought me down and where I had to start over.
I think your heart should be the same. Just as when you reach out to unbelievers for the purpose of evangelism, you shouldn't be treating them with any less respect than you treat your own brother or sister in Christ.
Be the one that walks. They see Christ because
Yes.
we're the Bible to them. And a lot of
Yes.
people network, but after they get what they want networking,
Yeah.
they forget about how they got there.
Yes.
And I believe that's not the
No,
way to
no.
continue to network.
We all need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other, and then we got to take care of each other, and not hurt each other.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with the team.
Bless and don't worry, really. For me, bless, don't worry what else is going to come. Whatever will happen. But always just concentrate on moving forward and helping other people.
You can learn the hard way, or you can learn from somebody who's traveled the hard road. And believe me, I've been to rock bottom and back. I hope you've enjoyed listening to these champions share their pearls of wisdom. Thanks to all of our champions for being a part of this meaningful program. Remember, networking is getting together to put God first and to spread peace, love, and happiness here on earth.
Tune in to learn more about how this important tool can change your life.